Welcome to the History of Merrill School. Chapter 2 James H. Merrill, A Story of Heroism and Public Service. Merrill School is named after James H. Merrill, a man whose accomplishments shaped the Oshkosh we know and love today. Merrill's story begins in February 1846, the year of his birth. Merrill was born to James D. Merrill Sr., his father. Merrill Sr. was an attorney and personal friend of President Fillmore, who appointed him postmaster of Milwaukee in 1850. The Civil War began in 1861, when Merrill was just 15 years old. In June of 1863, at the young age of 17, he joined the United States Navy and served on the captured Confederate vessel, the USS Eastport. The USS Eastport was one of history's first armored ships, known as an ironclad. Merrill's military record described him as having blue eyes, brown hair, a light complexion, and standing a hair over 6 feet tall. Young Merrill took part in the siege of Vicksburg, a decisive Union victory that effectively split the Confederacy in two. Merrill also fought during the Red River Expedition. The Red River Expedition was a disastrous Union offensive in the Trans-Mississippi Theater. Behind enemy lines along the Red River, the USS Eastport struck an enemy naval mine. Merrill was seriously injured in the explosion, and none thought he would survive. The USS Eastport was destroyed to prevent the Confederacy from getting the ironclad. Once safely in Union territory, Merrill would spend the next 2 months in the infirmary. Against all odds, Merrill recovered from the worst of his injuries and would be discharged in June 1864. He returned home, rested for a time, but Merrill wasn't done. Just before his 19th birthday, and 7 months after being discharged from the Navy, Merrill reported to Camp Randall in Madison, Wisconsin. Merrill volunteered with Company B of the Wisconsin 47th Infantry Regiment, where he would serve until the end of the Civil War. Upon the end of the war, James moved to New York City for a brief period to study law. He was admitted to the Wisconsin bar in 1868. Merrill practiced law in the village of Winneconne and served as the village president. It wasn't until 1875 Merrill moved to Oshkosh. In Oshkosh, Merrill continued his work of public service. He served in a number of notable positions, including superintendent of schools, justice of the peace, city attorney, and circuit court commissioner. In 1899, Merrill was elected mayor of the city of Oshkosh. Sadly, his term in office would not be long. 1 year into his term, Merrill died from a stroke while visiting his sister in New York City. 15 men, including 10 of Oshkosh's previous mayors, took a train to Chicago in order to escort his remains back to Oshkosh. The city hall and library were both decorated with black and white buntings to signify the collective mourning of a prominent community figure. Over 6,000 people attended his funeral. In honor of Merrill's service to the city council unanimously voted to change the name of the new 10th Ward School to Merrill School, the same school we all know and love today. If you wish to visit Merrill, his final resting place is at Riverside Cemetery, right here in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Next to his modest headstone, you will find a bronze marker for veterans of the Grand Army of the Republic, along with the United States flag.